Hi, this is Rob Nelson with tappingthematrix.com, and I'd like to tell you about one of my all-time favorite techniques, which is matrix reimprinting. This is a way of using EFT in a deeper and more profound way to make incredible life changes for yourself or your client. So before I get into the technique, let me just say a couple words about trauma. When we're faced with an experience that's very threatening, either to our physical safety or to our identity, and at the same time we have a sense of powerlessness, helplessness. That means that we're not able to go into the fight or flight response. And instead, what we tend to do is freeze. We go into the freeze response. And what that really means is that we dissociate. A part of us splits off to hold, to contain the intensity of the experience, all the negative emotions, all the fear, all the trauma. So that part of us that splits off, in matrix reimprinting we call that part an echo, which stands for energy consciousness hologram. And we believe that the echo is actually real. In a sense, it's like a hologram, a little piece of you that stopped growing at that point. For us, it's a memory, but for the echo, it's a current event. They're stuck there and it never stops happening. So imagine that you have a bothersome memory. Something terrible happened to you, let's just say when you're 7 years old. With matrix reimprinting, if you were to come to me as a client, I would have you step into that memory as you are now, as your adult self. And together, I would coach you on tapping on that younger self, on that 7-year-old. We would make connection with her. We would help her identify what she's feeling, and then we would simply have you tap on her in your imagination. Now, what we find is almost always the emotional distress from the memory discharges very, very rapidly, even faster than with EFT. But that's just the starting point because, and this is where it gets so good, we also ask the younger self, what did you learn about life from this experience? Or what did you decide about yourself? And most times they're able to answer. And this answer is a core belief. In EFT, the core belief is sort of the holy grail. If we're really good and we drill down, maybe we can get to that core belief. Because if we can and we can change it, that has life-changing consequences for our client. Now, with Matrix, basically the echo hands you the core belief on a silver platter. Oh, I learned that I'm not lovable, or I learned that the world's not a safe place, or I learned that no matter how hard I try, I'll never succeed. Whatever it is, and it can be a lot of different things, it's just handed to you. So then once the emotional distress in the memory is discharged, again that's very rapid, the next part of the technique is to change the memory that the younger self is stuck in. And we attempt to change it into something very positive. Sometimes this is incredibly simple. The echo just has a chance to say what needed to be said or to stand up for herself. Sometimes it involves a lot of resourcing and even tapping on other people who are in the picture. But at the end of it, we come up with a new memory, a new situation for that echo that's very positive and in an organic way reverses whatever the negative core belief was. So if their belief was that I'm unlovable, by the end they're feeling so loved and held and cherished. If they felt that they weren't smart enough, they end up feeling brilliant. And once we have this new positive memory, we go through a re-imprinting process. We bring it into the brain, into the body, and we send it out with the heart. And it actually ends up feeling, believe it or not, it actually ends up feeling like a real memory. It feels pretty much just the same. And when all is going really well, it essentially replaces the original memory, the trauma. Now the person conceptually knows that the trauma happened to them, but when they go back to remember it, what they have instead is this new, wonderful, positive memory. And this changes so much for the person, for the client, because along with the new memory comes the new positive core belief. I am lovable. The world is a safe place. The universe supports me, whatever it is. This sets them off in a new, wonderful direction. And for most of my clients, when they've gone through this reimprinting process, they love to return to the new memory again and again because it's a source of intense pleasure and good feeling for them. This is really lovely work. It's fun, it's incredibly effective, and if you've never experienced it, I encourage you to find a matrix practitioner, and if you are an EFT practitioner, I very much encourage you to seek out training in this technique. There's a 2-day live workshop followed by a webinar series. It's fairly simple to learn, and you're going to be delighted, absolutely delighted with the results you get immediately. So again, this is Rob Nelson with tappingthematrix.com, and I'm wishing you well. Thank you.